All
Yeah,
right.
I'll upgrade it.
Hey, man. One Chimp Typing.
Hello.
Friday night tradition with Lucky in the house.
Yeah, it's very cuddly today. Yeah.
And then we got Peter with us,
Oh,
serenading us with a song.
you like that, Lucky? You like that song? Hmm? Is it nice?
Oh, hi. Sorry. You just
Hello. That's the way to brush up your image.
Yeah, exactly. Because the last few weeks it's been a little questionable. I love
Been a
so
little
much.
bit rough, but that was very romantic.
I love so much.
thanks.
What are you doing
Shut
there,
up,
Peter?
bitch.
Brushing up?
Sorry. What? No, I was just singing. I was just writing a song because pretty soon I'm going to have to start recording some music. And also, I rewatched our thing, and I tried to do it as someone who doesn't know us. And I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, that Peter guy's kind of strange." So
Yeah,
I wanted
Just in
to
the beginning.
I received a message from one of our friends, and they were like, he's got kind of an interesting life. And I was like, oh, it's a windup, right? It's if you listen longer in the podcast, it's a windup. And she was being very diplomatic about her choice of words. So, so I guess what we were going to do, we've been talking about this for a while, but we just haven't done it in the podcast. And we're going to like sort of focus on some like health, diet, nutrition things. And I started the week, and I think Peter started the week fasting. And
2
I've
weeks.
been OMAD fasting since I broke my fast. And so I've been doing 1 meal a day. That's OMAD fasting. So I wake up, no calories since the meal the night before. And then I push through the day, no calories. And then when I come home from work, then I have my meal, which is probably a big meal. Maybe it's 2 meals inside of like 2 hours time. And then, other times I'm 0 calorie fasting because, obviously I'm trying to lose the visceral fat that's around your organs. I'm trying to lose that fat because I'm middle-aged, let's face it. And also the health benefits. And I wanted to discuss that a little bit because I think some people think that fasting is just about losing weight, and they don't realize that there are a whole host of these other benefits. And rather than rely on memory alone, I had bookmarked a couple things I wanted to talk about. And so there's obviously there's a lot of information out there. But when you talk about fasting in a 0 calorie sense, or some people call it water fasting, the science is pretty clear that over the course of so many hours, different things begin to happen in your body, different triggers happen. So generally, from 0 to 4 hours after your last meal, you tend to have high blood sugar, right? And then as your body metabolizes and your liver processes, then you go into like a sugar crash. You have a spike in insulin, which is then your sugar crash. And then that's right around the time, 4 hours after your meal, where you start to feel hungry again. So between 4 and 8 hours after a meal, that's typically when you have low blood sugar, right? And it starts to get toward this baseline or normal level. And so then between 8 and 12 hours after a meal, this is when you are considered to have normal blood sugar levels. And that means that your insulin response is low, your blood sugar should be flatlined. And that's probably when you would feel most energetic, like most naturally, energetic, without like some artificial thing in your bloodstream. And then 12 to 18 hours after a meal, this is when you go into partial ketosis. So that's the metabolic state that allows your body to burn fat instead of sugars or glycogen. And at this stage, the body is basically in a state of ketosis. We always hear about the ketogenic diet, and that's kind of what this is hoping to accomplish. Or that's what that diet is hoping to accomplish, is putting you in a state of ketosis where you use your fat, your stored fat, for energy. And then between 18 to 28 hours after your last meal, you're in ketosis and you are fat burning. So now your body is primarily starting to utilize fat for energy, and that increases the ketone bodies or keto bodies in your system. And this has the effect of decreasing inflammation in the body. And then rejuvenation and healing processes start to kick in. You start to feel more alert and attentive. And I can tell you personally, this is such a fact for me. I start to definitely feel more alert. And then between 28 to 48 hours after a meal, now you're in autophagy, which literally means self-eating. So now your body is in a state of self-repair. The self-repair mechanism that's within each cell of the body is triggered. Damaged components are broken down and consumed for energy. So you're recycling your cell tissue, and new and more effective components are created. So you start to see an impact on your skin. And I definitely noticed that. The weird thing that I've noticed is it almost feels like I exfoliated my face or any areas that would normally be dry skin. And I can't understand, like, I haven't exfoliated my face, so why does it not feel dry in the areas where it would ordinarily feel dry? It's not oily either. It feels like fresh as a baby's bottom. I haven't figured that out, but I've definitely felt that, what they describe. So this period of autophagy is what we're trying to extend as long as possible, because, between 19 and 24 hours after your meal, your intestines begin to release stem cells. That's the first part of your body that releases stem cells. And what does it do? It begins repairing your GI and your whole intestinal tract. And the longer that you fast, the more regions of your body release stem cells for repair. People report having fasted for long periods of time, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they've gotten rid of like arthritis. They've completely gotten rid of the inflammation that they experience. Some people say they've gotten rid of their diabetes. And I know for a fact that your insulin sensitivity is really high the longer that you go without consuming calories and sugar. And that's a great thing to be able to, especially for those of us who, maybe are at risk for type 2 diabetes, the diabetes that you acquire as you move through life. And then your growth hormone rises between 48 and 60 hours after a meal. So your growth hormones are significantly higher. And that's obviously important for muscle repair and for muscle growth. That's why, Peter, I recommend a minimum of 3 days, because if you're working out, you have a great chance of like optimizing your muscle repair and growth. And then between 60 and 72 hours after a meal, like I said, your insulin level normalizes. And this is great for those people who are pre-diabetic or are in diabetes. And then between 72 and 144 hours after a meal, you begin your immune cell regeneration. So your immune cells start regenerating at a very rapid pace. And your immunity after 144 hours will go through the roof, as they say. And then even longer, between 144 to 288 hours after a meal, you begin to develop what we call an emotional mastery over hunger. Now, that is maybe a little less clear to me because I feel like I have that within the first day or so. So it's not just a
What's the
weight loss
longest? Sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
What's the longest you've been in
Oh, I'm sorry. I've had
without
George
food?
waiting this whole time and I ignored him. Hold on. Let's let George in here. George is like, what the hell? George, welcome.
Hey,
Sorry,
George.
I had a page in front of me and I didn't see that you were in the waiting room. Welcome to One Chimp Typing and
Thanks.
special friends. We're talking about health and diet just to cue you in. And I was talking about the benefits of fasting. And Jake, what was your question?
My question: how long? What's the longest you've been without it? What's your record?
Yeah, so my record is about like between 3 and 4 days. I haven't gone 5 days. I think once in an earlier podcast you thought I had gone 5 days. I haven't gone 5 days. I really want to go 21 days, to be perfectly honest with you. But the problem that
That's a jump.
yeah, the problem that I have is it's the addiction to food. Like I don't consider myself to have an eating disorder, but you definitely start craving the smell, the flavor, the experience of eating, just like a drug addict who would be coming down off of a drug that they're addicted to. So I'm not hungry during those times, but it's so difficult for the mind to let it go. Like that, oh, God, I just want to taste something right now because it is super hard to just drink like coffee, tea, and water because, you know, tea and coffee are not delicious beverages. Let's be honest, right? They're not delicious beverages. They're tolerable, but they're not delicious.
Yourself? I love tea.
I mean, I love tea too, but I don't like not as a mainstay of flavor over the course of days and days. That's the thing. You really can't, you know. Now there's these other details too that I wanted to talk about. Like the importance of consuming sodium and potassium when you're fasting. Obviously, you need sodium to keep the lights on. You need sodium because it's an electrolyte and it literally helps your your nervous system needs that. Your liver produces all the glycogen that you'll need in your whole life to feed your brain. So actually, we never need sugar in our life. Our liver does that for us. And the potassium's important because the combination of potassium and sodium together assist with the cell's ability to derive as much nutrition from the consumption of other cells. And obviously, the fat cells are obviously being used for energy too. So potassium and sodium together is like a cocktail that helps to optimize nourishing your body from your own muscles and fat and recycled cells. Now, the immune system thing, this is real. This is all real. They've investigated that a couple of parts of your immune system, these cells disappear. They'll test your blood and they'll disappear. And what they've discovered is that they've gone into your bone marrow. So they've gone into hiding into your bone marrow because there's no nourishment coming in. And when you start to re-nourish yourself, these cells reemerge. And when they do reemerge, they're stronger and they're better than they were before. So the only thing that research hasn't been able to identify is what are they consuming while they're inside the bone marrow that they come out like re-energized as they are. And that's one thing that they're still trying to get a hold on. But you know, this thing about fasting is not about losing weight exclusively. It's about like releasing stem cells, replacing your immune system, It's about obviously recycling cell tissue that's mutated or defective or old. And all of these things together in combination, personally, I definitely have that sensation of feeling more alive. There's like a tingling that I feel all over the surface of my body. That's not like the tingling when your leg went to sleep. It's a different kind of thing. It's like you can feel the hair like as if there was a breeze, like, you know, it's a very trippy,
It's more sensitive then, is it?
it's almost a psychedelic experience, to be honest with you. It's really interesting. And I know, Peter, you've
been
yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, you've been doing this as well. How long have you gone for it?
I did 3 days, three and a half days.
How do you feel? Like me and, well, we've all spoken to Martin about it before. I'm quite curious as to how do you feel about it?
Oh, my penis fell off.
Okay, so then I would recommend that you not do that anymore. Or fast long enough that the stem cells regenerate a new penis.
They went back into my bone marrow, you motherfucker. You didn't tell me that was going to happen.
Yeah, crawled up in his bone marrow.
Yeah. That's not the boner I want.
The boner marrow.
I'll tell you that much.
Boner marrow.
Well, we all know.
Yeah, go on. Take a step. Take us like a step-by-step kind of thing, you know?
All right. Okay. Well, we all know that I'm, you know, I'm all into like, you know, health and shit like that. But like,
as you're pouring a fucking
finish it before the.
His best Sean Connery accent.
Well, no, but it's just that the
you're taking bud.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you exactly how it went. Martin told me about it. He said everything that you said, and I said, okay, to give some backstory, back in September, I went down to 81 kg. And that was through stress and nothing else. Stress and not eating right, okay? It had nothing to do with like weight loss and healthy lifestyle. It was all through stress, and you know, you all know why, basically.
Yeah.
But then during the pandemic, I was working out twice a day, and I was as happy as a pig in shit, but really happy with life, all things considered. And I shot up, despite the fact that I was like working out, and I hadn't been working out before. Except for some hiking and running. I was working out heavily twice a day, and I shot up to 87. And I'm like, this must be muscle. It wasn't. A lot of it was fat. So anyway, Martin told me about this thing, and I said, I'll try it. And this 2 weeks ago, I tried it, and I think if I'm wrong with my facts, who cares? Let's just say I started on a Saturday. And I started on Saturday at 5 o'clock. That didn't matter because I was busy that night and I just went to bed. Who cares? Sunday, I had my own private lessons, so I just did it. No, I might have started on Sunday. Anyway, then Monday I was at school. Who cares? And Wednesday I was at school. Who cares? And let's just say Thursday I finished it. I can't keep track. But during those days, what I found was, at work, no problem. When I got the first night, I kept myself busy. I didn't notice anything, and I just went to bed. I was just drinking lots of tea, and then I went to bed. And then the next day, after work, it was I think it was like the second day, the second full day. I was like, "Ooh, what's this?" And I got through it. Then the third day, I got through it, and
Hang on. That second day, what was that? Like pure
No, it wasn't pure hunger cravings. It was something different. It was like my body telling me that you need something right now, but it's not food. Okay.
Sugar?
So nothing to do with sugar or anything. So I said, like, I get really anxious about my heart. Like, even though there's nothing wrong with it, I always get anxious about it. So I just said, look, I'll go to the gym. The days that I went to the gym when I was fasting 100%, were the best workouts of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I used to be a professional rugby player, and these workouts were better than then. I never felt better. There's this thing that we do in rugby where you squat down and then you jump up for a line out.
Right.
And if you're the number
Like a
one
burpee.
or number three, one of the props, and you're lifting the second row, you have to squat down and lift up. And there's an exercise we do for that, which is basically squat, jump as high as you can over the pull-up bar, then catch the pull-up bar on your way down, and then do 10 pull-ups, and then jump back down and squat again and jump as high as you can and repeat until you reach failure. I hadn't done that since I was like 20, and I'm 33 now, nearly 33. And just on Tuesday, I was doing that for fun.
Oh, wow,
Okay.
that's cool.
To failure, and not to failure like as in like after 2 sets. I did 10 fucking sets of these bad boys. Then I stopped for the week and I went to the other diet where I just ate meat once a day, and that was amazing. Then the second week happened, kept going, and then I did 2 days, then went back to once a day just eating meat. I added in a little broccoli just to get some fiber.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, which was today, I said, okay, today's like my off day because I will eat chips tonight, but I haven't eaten anything else. I said, normally I don't eat anything else. I said, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some pasta and chicken, and I'm going to try that, and then I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'll have my off day after that, in the second half of the day. So I ate the chicken, which is always fine, and I had the pasta, and then I went to the gym. And I didn't go to the gym straight after. I let myself digest for 4 hours, and it was, I don't know if it's psychological or what it is. It was the worst session I ever had in my life. I did everything.
Yeah.
I felt like I was missing something, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It felt like I had, it felt like I was doing everything with gravity boots on. Whereas before I was squatting and jumping like 2 meters. Now I wouldn't even think about that. I was just like, fuck, I just want to get through this session and, whatever, go home. So as far as the diet goes, when it comes to working out, as someone who used to be a professional rugby player and who knows coaches and dietitians and workout routines, I can tell you 100% that not only is fasted cardio, that's one other point I want to get to. Not only does this fasted, what you call it, Martin? Fucking this fasted thing. Not only is this like the real deal. I was never into cardio. I would always do 20 minutes of 3 minutes on 6 intensity, and then 2 minutes 10 intensity. Now, which is good, but now I'm doing an hour and a half on the treadmill at 12. Okay, at 12, which is fast.
Wow.
Okay, non-stop, and I'm just in the zone. And I used to always get heart palpitations halfway through these treadmill workouts, whereas I would get this like into my throat, and I would get nervous, this anxiety, because I'm like, oh, I'm 32 and I smoke and blah blah blah, like but now nothing. I'm just running for an hour and a half at like full pelt.
An hour and a half. That's
an hour and a half. I
impressive.
mean, I got a sick playlist, which helps, but like I'm just in the zone, just like completely in the zone. It's cleared up fog, everything. Like if you've ever had a foggy mind, this completely just gets rid of all the fog, where you just like kind of say, oh shit, I don't need to have that fucking that fig. I don't need to have that sandwich to keep me going. I can keep going because, hey, look at this. There's not much fat here, but there's still a bit. So body, eat that if you're fucking hungry. Fuck you.
There's a mythology that I discovered back when I was playing football, which was that you don't need to have anything in your stomach to perform. And in fact, I understood that it was detrimental for me to have anything in my system when I trained. And one thing I wanted to clear up also, because a lot of people have this like trepidation about fasting, because like we've spent our lives like hearing these horror stories about diets and about like how difficult it is to stick to a diet, and primarily I guess because of hunger. But it's important to realize that about 19 hours after your last meal, your intestines turn off, they shut down. And when they shut down, they stop sending the signal, the hormone to your brain that tells you that you're hungry. Okay. So this worry about hunger is not a real thing. The real thing is the psychological effect that you are not eating and you'd really enjoy the flavor, the smell, the process of chewing and swallowing. And that's like purely psychological. And another thing I wanted to point out was the first time I did a 3-day fast, I weighed myself the morning of my first day. So I had actually begun fasting the night before. So I was maybe a dozen hours perhaps into my fast, and I weighed myself. Then the second morning what
the fuck was that?
That's how he handled that. He probably meant to mute and he disappeared. I hope Jake's okay. While we're joking, I hope Jake's okay.
Yeah, so but before when you end your point, I just want to tell you what my the weight situation
Right.
from the 2
So
weeks was.
so then the second morning I weighed myself and I had lost 4 kilos. And then the third day, obviously at 72 hours, I broke the fast. And in the weeks that followed, I had been sort of loosely fasting, intermittent fasting, let's say 18 hours between meals. Sometimes 1 meal a day fasting. And I wasn't religious about it, but I was pretty much doing that because I had a real sensitivity to the taste of sugar. And that was a big bonus because now it means I use less to no sugar. But I lost a total of 16 kilograms. And this was after I stopped fasting, I lost those 12 kilograms. So that was a real selling point to me in terms of my weight. The second day, when I lost those 4 kilograms, I tried on a suit jacket that I had not been able to wear for years, probably in the neighborhood of 7 or 8 years. And I was unable to get the buttons of the jacket even close enough as the width of a tie. And the second morning of my fast, I put on that jacket and buttoned it. And that was all she wrote for me. I was like, that is incredible. I have simply not eaten food for 2 days and I can put this freaking jacket on. So each time I fasted since then, though, I've had mixed results. I fasted for another 3-day period where I did have some beverages with a little bit of sugar in it. But other than that, no food.
I think, Martin,
And
your
I didn't really
exercise
lose
went
any
down
weight.
in the years, though.
And then the third time I fasted, I wasn't happy with those results, but I'm a little bit happier because I see some inflammation go down. What I've noticed is that like if you think about fasting 3 days, that's 10% of a month. So that means that you're eating 10% less food. And that is good in so many ways. I just think about it's less resources, it's less money, it's less time associated with eating. It's got to be good for your metabolism.
When I said to you back in September when I was at the unhealthy skinny, that's skinny like less fat, I was 81, and then I was the healthy 88. Let's say healthy 88 during the pandemic. I was working out twice a day. I was hiking, everything, but I was still sitting on my ass doing nothing and having maybe 2 or 3 meals a day. And now
I was 88 2 weeks ago. Now I'm 82.
Mhm.
2 weeks.
Mhm.
At the gym, I weighed it, okay? I proper weighed it. 88 down to 82 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge, man. That's huge.
Yeah, so it's one of these things where I know that I need to integrate more fitness if I'm going to fast so that I can maximize the results that I want for myself. Um, but, fasting for me is like, obviously I'm doing it for the other health benefits, but I'm still finding it's a struggle to not like, I don't want to use the word obsess, but it's just become clear to me that every single one of us in a food secure nation have an eating disorder. And that disorder is that we have lived our entire lives eating semi regularly. And when you take that away, it's not the hunger that is difficult because there is no hunger. But I literally sit here in the evenings after work, and it's hard to get my mind off of how much I desire just to eat something for the sake of eating it.
Yeah.
As an observation, I think people here in Turkey eat far too much food, like than what is needed. And I think they actually eat because they're bored, you know. Like when I first came here, like 7 or 8 years ago, because I was used to like a little sandwich at lunchtime. But I came here and I was struggling to finish everything that was handed to me, you know. And then, yeah, you know, I think I came here, I'm a small man. I came here to Turkey, I was about 65 kilos. Now I'm about 73, you know, but like I did go up to about 78 or 9 once, you know, and it's just for the fact that I've got nothing better to do. I might as well eat because it's in front of me, like, you know. It's a real food culture here. You know, I think it's similar to America, you know, in terms of portion sizes as well. It's just not what I'm used to from the UK at all. And I have struggled, you know, like being my natural weight, which was for years was like 65 kilos. You know, like I said, I'm a small man. I'm 1 meter 70. You know, what's that? 5'6", 5'7". You know, in Imperial. But yeah, you know, it's strange though, because like sometimes
Empire.
the Empire, which we won't go there.
I
mean, yeah, I mean, it was a real sort of culture shock when I came here about the food. You know, there's just so much of it. You know, so for the past, and I have gone, like, I've been really busy sometimes. I've gone 2 or 3 days without eating anything substantial. Yeah, I might grab a biscuit here and there, but like sometimes I've been working from like 9 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, you know, because I've just had so much going on. I'm smoking my way through the day to calm the hunger pangs. And I think nothing of it. And boom, I've lost 2 kilos. But you know what? Like you said, it is very psychological. You know, I don't want food after about 36 hours. I couldn't care less, you know. And I think it's like a bit like smoking, you know, like 2 or 3 days, you're like, oh, fuck it, you know, I don't need smoking.
I went 2 days without, sorry, not 2 days. I went 2.5, maybe 3 weeks without smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the nicotine that brought me back. It
Or
was
fixation.
no, it was the fact that like I'm a man
Mm-hmm.
and I needed something that had a little bit of badness to it at the end of the week or at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Behavior, yeah, a little.
Yeah, it's like,
it could have been a beer, but instead it's a fag, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also why I moved to Rollies, because I purposely didn't clean out my kuluk, my ashtray for the last 3 days because I just wanted to see. because when I moved to the rollies, and
Right.
normally when I'd have the camels, which is in the normal pack.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! Like the ashtray would be overflowing, but now with the rollies, there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 14 from the last 3 days. So I'm like, okay, well, in 3 days, how much would I smoke? Like, what's 2 by 3? Like, fucking hell. Like that's a huge improvement,
Yeah.
And I'm not even really inhaling the rollies. I'm just kind of fucking enjoying the. For example, I went to the. If I'm going off point, boys, I'm sorry. If I went to the tobacco shop today, and I didn't smoke for the whole day because I didn't have filters. Then I went to the tobacco shop and I sat down with the tobacco guy and we were talking and got the filter. I rolled it and I says, I'll have that when I get to the cafe. I walked 20 minutes to the cafe. Then I says, okay, I'm going to have it now. So everything has become more ritualistic. Whereas like,
That's exactly
if I'm going to have something, if I'm going to have something, I'm going to have to fucking not work for it, but like, it
That's
has
how
to,
it works.
Yeah, I don't smoke during the day. I smoke when I get home. I like rolling it because it's a little more involved process. And also the tobacco that we're smoking is natural, or at least the tobacco I'm smoking is natural. And so it doesn't have the 4,500 chemicals that cigarette companies add to packaged cigarettes. And it's certainly not the nicotine, if there is any to speak of, because I definitely don't even think about smoking a cigarette during the day. For me, it's kind of like what you were saying, Peter. It's like, I would obviously be smoking something else if I had it. And so I feel like this is kind of like my foot in the sand. Like, this is that one little thing. And it could be a beer, right? But like beer is not like, it just doesn't have the same, it's not the same thing. It just feels like, okay, obviously smoking is not, we're talking about fasting and now we're talking about smoking, and maybe justifying it or something. But like, I'm not winded when I run up the stairs, but my colleagues are, and they all smoke and they're 20 years younger than me.
I have colleagues, yes, George.
I mean, we could talk about this in another podcast, but Turkey has got one of the highest asthma rates in Europe, and a lot of these people don't even smoke.
Well, I have a friend, I say friend at school, friend, like, work colleague. And
we're less than a minute, guys, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm 33 and he's like 26, and I can run rings around him on a football pitch.
Weird, man.
Even though I smoke and he doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, where's this all coming from? Like, but whatever. Like,
I used to brag about that in California. I used to be like, guys, I'm 20 years older than you, and I smoke like a chimp, and it ain't cigarettes, and it doesn't, make sense, but it is what it is. All right, so Peter's gonna take us out. Thanks, guys, for joining us on One Chimp and Typing with Special Friends. Jake dropped off the map. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's okay. I hope the dogs are okay. And I hope that Peter, with his pay rise, will get him some guitar lessons. I'm just curious.
1 minute left. Okay, 1 minute left. 1 minute left. Okay. 1 minute. 2 minutes. I gotta go quickly.
I love that. He's hoping for it to cut off now.
Yeah, I really am, because that's all I've got.
All right, guys. Bye-bye. Cheers, everyone.
Go on.